Alright, hello everyone, it's Silver Kyle here, and today I'm going to be talking about financials! Not as exciting as I'm trying to make it out to be, unless you're really into sales, like myself. I just love looking at sales for video games and trying to figure out why the sale numbers are either high or low. And basically this is something that I would like to do, get into the routine of doing. So at the beginning of the month I would like to look at the hardware sales, so the handheld and the console sales. And then maybe a week or 2 weeks after that, I would like to talk about the games that sold the best in a specific month. For example, in a week or two from now, we will have the full sales for all the October games that were released. And I would like to talk about the top selling games and as well the games that, seemed like they were going to be really big releases, but actually weren't. That's just something that I like to do because I like to look at sales and look at numbers and give my own opinions. And basically that's what this is. This is not professional at all. There's nothing of this is professional. This is just my sheer speculation and my opinions and thoughts as to why these games are selling, or these video game consoles are selling well or bad. The only professional thing I guess would be that the sales are probably very accurate to what they, or as close as they can be to what they are. I'm using the site VGCharts with a Z at the end .com. And they seem like a very reliable source. They're the most reliable internet source that I've found for sales for video game consoles and video games themselves. So they're top notch, and they have specific brackets for North America, Europe, Japan, global. They're a very neat site to check out. So for today, I'm just going to be looking at the hardware sales. So that's the handhelds and the consoles, and this is for the week of October 27th. So that's the latest up to date that they have at the moment. So the top one is the 3DS. So the 3DS has basically just been a monster ever since it came out. They're number one globally at 257,000 units sold in that week, which is just amazing. A 250,000 per week is really good for a handheld, and it's even beating all the consoles. And it's really good for Nintendo because basically what happened is, they had the 250 mark, they dropped it down to 170. That worked beautifully for them, and then they basically said that they were going to release a big game every month starting in September of last year for that fall season. So September, October, November, December, they were going to have big releases, and the two top games that I would say are the reason the 3DS is doing so well is because of the November and December releases, which was Super Mario 3D Land and Mario Kart 7. They both have over 6 million copies sold, and they are the two top selling games of the 3DS. And what I think is pushing the 3DS nowadays is people are still buying those games, but also New Super Mario Bros. 2, which came out in August, and it is the best-selling 2012 game, a game that was released in 2012. It's at like 2.7 million, which is pretty good. So that's the reason why I think the 3DS is doing so well, is because there's starting to be a good collection of games, and New Super Mario 2. Which came out in August of this year, so just a few months back. Now, number two is the PS3 at 254,000. So they're only 3,000 shy of being the top, hardware. But and this I expected, but I didn't expect them. I expected the PlayStation 3 to be second, but I did not expect them to be that close to the 3DS. And the reason why I'm thinking that it's doing so well is not because of its exclusives. I would like to say that it's because there's so many exclusives on the PlayStation 3 and people are starting to finally realize this, so they're jumping from the 360 to the PlayStation 3. But I don't think it's because of that, because, you look at the 2012 exclusive sales of the PlayStation 3 games, they're not that good. Starhawk didn't do very well at all. Twisted Metal kind of just did okay. And I'm trying to think of other games that came out. Tales of Grace's F didn't do very well either. Well, I'm not saying that they didn't do very well, but they didn't reach over, they didn't reach like 1.5 million, 2 million, or anything higher than that. You look at a game like Gears of War, Halo, Uncharted. Those are big series that sell millions of copies. God of War, but there's no big exclusive for 2012. They're kind of all being released in 2013. The Last of Us by Naughty Dog, I think that's going to do very well, and that would be a system seller. So what I'm thinking the reason the PlayStation 3 is doing so well at the moment is because they released the slimmer version of the PlayStation 3, and they bundled with Uncharted 3. So for people that have never played the game before, it's a great time to pick up the system with a great title along with it, and it's a slimmer I think it's a slimmer version. I don't remember if they're calling it the PlayStation 3 Slim or not. anyways, it's a newer version of the console, so that usually boosts sales, and it's working out for the PlayStation 3. Next, in third place, is the Xbox 360 at 234,000. So they're 20,000 units shy of the second spot by PlayStation 3. And honestly, I could have expected the 360 to be could have been second, because what they did is they dropped their system in price by $50 maybe a month ago or something like that, which was a great strategy on their part, because the PlayStation 3 did not drop their price while the Xbox 360 did, and that's a good way to also compete with the Wii U, because people are going to be like, well, do I go out and buy myself like the basic edition of the Wii for $300, or do I go with the Xbox 360 at $250? It's $50 cheaper, there's a lot more games on it. Great strategy by Microsoft. And it's weird because, Microsoft really doesn't care about exclusives anymore. The only big game was like Halo 4 this year, and Forza Horizon, which actually, surprised me in sales, but I guess people really like the Forza series. But it's like 2 games, 2 exclusives, and that, Halo 4 isn't even out yet, and the 360 is still doing quite well for itself. But I'm mainly attributing it to the $50 price drop. So next, number 4 is the Nintendo Wii at 63,000. So there's a big gap there from the third to the fourth. 234,000 for the third place with the Xbox 360, and the Wii is at 63,000. So huge jump there. Basically, I think everybody and their grandmother, honestly, like I'm serious, their grandmothers do own a Nintendo Wii. That system has just sold fantastically, and it's nearing the end, and the Wii U is coming, and this is good. Some people would say, the Wii's like not doing well right now, but it makes sense because there's no big games coming out for it anymore, and people are preparing for the Wii U. So I don't know how I would see this as Nintendo. I'd be like, well, our system is dying, but it makes sense. Maybe people are waiting for the Wii U. Hopefully that's what it is. That's what I'm sure Nintendo is hoping for. Although the 3DS is doing fantastic, so Nintendo can't be that worried. Next, in the 5th place, is the PlayStation Vita at 42,000. So, the Vita has been struggling, and I think that a price drop would have helped, and also more solid games that are known. That's the main thing that I think that would really help with them if they want to sell better in Japan, because they're doing horribly in Japan. So the system is selling at 42,000 units sold for that week, and in Japan it was only 6,000. Okay, just to give you a reference, the PlayStation Portable, the older version basically of the PlayStation Vita, is at 14,000 in Japan. So the old system is still selling better than the new system in Japan. That's bad. Release a Monster Hunter, release a huge RPG, do something, because that's not good. They do have a cool thing though with the cross-buy, whereas if you buy a PlayStation Vita, and you buy a new PlayStation 3 game like PlayStation All-Stars, you pay for the retail console version, and you get a downloadable Vita version for free. That's really cool. That might help sales. It'll be interesting when All-Stars is finally released and we get to see the first cross-buy sales. So that will certainly be interesting in the next few weeks. Next is the DS at 38,000 and the PSP at 32,000. So, DS and PSP are very old now, and they're not selling very well. They don't expect them to do very well. The DS actually in Japan had 408 units sold. That's it. So, those are interesting. So I think the biggest thing is that the Vita doing horrible, 3DS doing amazing. So it just shows you that, one handheld is dominating, and that the PlayStation 3, I guess, in the consoles is winning that war. And it's not because of the exclusives. I don't know if it's just because the newer version of the console was released, but it's interesting. It's all interesting to me. So thank you all for watching, everyone. You've been Bearded In. If you'd like for me to continue doing these kinds of videos, let me know in the comments below, and let me know your thoughts on all these sales. Talk to y'all later. Bearded.